Welcome back to part two of Rovers Remembered with my guest Zook, joining club president Mike Smith. Zook, I always think of your career as being in two parts really. The successful part and then the kind of like the barren times. I've often say it at the risk of repeating myself, we kind of like peaked at 1986, lost the cup final to Castleford, and then it kind of went on a downward turn, didn't it? We left the old Craven Park and we came to the new stadium, but we'd kind of lost that winning habit, hadn't we? And the club was very much in a transitional stage, and we didn't know at the time they were a bit skint as well. What was that like from being a player in a side, and Michael have obviously experienced the same thing, that we're used to winning week in, week out, to suddenly going to places and getting turned over?
Very difficult. It's you get used to certain things, and in certain respects you expect the next season to be the same. And obviously it isn't the same because there's plenty of teams out there all wanting to knock you down, and unfortunately, yeah, we hit barren times, and a lot of reasons really. And we lost a lot of talented players. People reach a certain age, and
people getting older, and
that's right. And people leave the club, and things have to change. And so yeah, it was a very difficult time for all the players, fans as well. It's not just the players; it's the fans as well. They're paying their good hard money to see success. It's basically.
Yeah, I mean that relegation season. You know, often in sport they always say a team's too good to go down. Was the kind of that forefront, that at the forefront of your thoughts, thinking, oh, we won't go down, we won't get relegated, we're all Kingston Rovers, and then all of a sudden, bang, you're gone.
Yeah, there is that, and then once you get into that league, it's very difficult to get out again. We managed it, obviously, but you've got to remember that the point is, you can probably think you're all Kingston Rovers. We had to remind ourselves every week, it's their cup final, they're playing all Kingston Rovers, and they want to topple us. And it was very, very hard, because their game's totally different to what we used to been playing, and we had to change the way we thought about it and just be steady and persevere, basically.
Yeah, I mean the season in the championship, shall we call it now, was a good one. We won the league quite easily, but there was always that final at the end, wasn't there? Old Trafford, Oldham, when we were 29 points to 6 up at half time,
yeah,
was it?
I still can't get my head around that one, yeah. And then it came out in the second half, just let them run through us. I think it was a combination. I think we just relaxed. I think Des Irons scored just before half time, which made the score 20 odd something, didn't it? And then we came out in the second half, and I think it was a really hot day as well. And I think they just got the tails up, scored one try. That was it. They were on a roll, and it just disappeared for us.
Yeah, it was.
I can't explain it.
It was a hard watch, that one. We've had some bumps on the chin over the years, Mike, haven't we? And that was one of them.
I wasn't playing. Most of the sort of like towards the back end of my career, I mean, I was missing games, or playing with painkilling injections most of the time. So that more or less put a lid on my career, sort of like that game, and I just felt as though I couldn't do it anymore. Your body tells you just can't do it anymore, and it just it just like finished me after being in the final. I'm thinking, oh no, just can't do it. Sorry, give somebody else a go. It was hard, but there you go.
Yeah, I suppose one enjoyable aspect, Zook, was players of your age group had suddenly come into the team, and rather than you being the young pup, you were kind of playing with guys your own age, the likes of Mike Fletcher, Chris Rudd, Wayne Parker, Mally Beale, Paul Speckman.
Yeah, it was a team full of enthusiasm and talent. Yeah, it was good. Like I say, it was like a fresh sweep, really. All the old guard had gone, going, and the new players had to come in and stamp their authority on the game. And I think that spell in that division obviously was good because we were winning. Yeah. And we also had Brian Niebling as well, which helped a lot. He was brilliant. His game every week was the same. Consistency. which you can see in the NRL when you watch it now. They're just consistent, no mistakes. They're just the same performance every week, in out and out.
I might be a little bit unfair in asking you this question, but a lot of years have passed, so I will anyhow. We had a try-scoring centre called Greg Austin, and famously he was sacrificed to bring in James Goulding, who was this New Zealand prop test forward, was going to, lead us to the next chapter, and it never quite worked out. What was your take on that decision at the time? Because Greg was unbelievable for the club, wasn't he?
Yeah, where did Greg go? He went to Halifax.
Went to Halifax after
that's
that,
right. Yeah.
I don't know. I think because we had great experiences with Mark Broadhurst. Everybody thought, he's going to be the next Mark Broadhurst, and to be honest, he played well in the tests against Australia, and the club in their wisdom thought, well, yeah, here we go. We need him to kick the young lads into shape type of thing. But I always thought it was a massive loss because Greg could always win you a game. He'd score a try from nowhere. It was a unbelievable try scorer, wasn't he?
He was a good player, and he went on to Halifax and repeated it there, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, James came over, and obviously he was a forward, so young about with us forwards, and I think he'd admit it as well. I think he probably thought it was a little bit of a holiday, and he was just going to enjoy himself, and he was getting well paid, I presume, and that's the only take I can take on it.
We had another lad, Ross Taylor.
Yes,
He was the same, wasn't he? Yeah. He never really reached the heights that he.
Well, seeing as we're on this theme, David Hoskins, the mule, that was another one that didn't work out, wasn't it?
But you're always going to have this, aren't you? You're going to have certain players who don't adjust and don't come over, and obviously they maybe had, to put a finer blunt on it, had the money up front, and after that it's, we'll just try and get through this. But yeah,
There's always that homesickness. Obviously with George Williams and that type of scenario with these people missing the families, missing. It's to be put in a strange place in a as I said before, one of Rovers' houses was like a little dungeon.
yeah.
So I don't think it was very welcoming for him.
Which gets back to the point of the academies, bringing our own youngsters up who want to play for the club. Forget about the money, they just want to play for the club first and foremost. I think after a while, yes, obviously money and contracts, because it's a full-time job and it's a career, and you're only going to last as you break your leg one game and that's it. It could be your last game ever. So obviously money does come into it, but first and foremost, they want the families and friends to see them playing well, and it's a great incentive.
Obviously, Zook, you outside of rugby, you forged a career in the fire service, which kind of ultimately led to you leaving the game of rugby league, didn't it? At a relatively early age as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, I realised I had the opportunity to join the fire brigade. It was a good shift system, good pension. You can't play rugby forever, so I had to get myself a good career. Pays the mortgage, doesn't it, when I finished playing rugby. It didn't really end my rugby career. I had a few restrictions. I probably missed 2 or 3 games a season due to my shift system. But in them days, the way the pay structure was, it benefited Rovers, it benefited me. Ultimately, in the end, what led to my retirement from rugby was my knee. I'd done the 10 years, like I said, Terry Kane had told me about, and it was playing up, as was a few other joints. And I had another 15, 20 years to go in the fire brigade. So there was no point risking that, because obviously in the fire brigade we have to be fitness tested every 6 months and be as sound like a horse. We have to be sound. So that was basically it in the end. And of course there's other things coming into it regarding money. I don't mind admitting it, wages and stuff like that. Phil Lord taking over as chairman, hadn't he? And they were trying to get rid of contracts and this, that and the other. So there was all that as well. But the overriding thing for me, if I'd have been fit enough to play, or I thought I could have sustained it without risking further injury and threatening my fire brigade career, yeah, I'd probably have maybe another 1 or 2 seasons, but I didn't think it was worth a gamble, and hence here I am. I've had a new knee since, and I'm wonderful and great. I can cycle, I can do most things. So yeah, I'm fit and healthy. And I
Can you
managed to.
play the piano now?
Well, yeah, my fingers aren't very good. But yeah, so yeah, I can do everything I want to do still now. And of course, I've retired from the fire brigade now. I've been retired 4 years, so everything's hunky-dory. I'm at home looking after the kids, bashing them every couple of days, and one plays rugby for Skella, one plays football. He retired from rugby very early. 9 years old, he retired from rugby, not enough. I said, yeah, that's fine, son. If you want to play football, you play football.
Obviously, you're steeped in Hull KR. I've seen you at ex-players' dues and things like that, Zook. But you know, what's your involvement these days? Do you come along to games, or do you kind of just watch from afar these days?
Yeah, when I initially retired from the game, I didn't come for a few seasons, or for a long time, to be fair. And then my eldest son now, he's 12. The youngest is 9. The eldest son, he wants to come. So for the last 2 or 3 seasons, I've come back. And it is nice to be back. It's a good atmosphere, always has been. But yeah, I had a break from it all. I wasn't very good at watching. It's nice to have a break. Rugby takes over your life from being a young kid, and it was nice to do something else. I did other sports. In the fire brigade, I did triathlons and running until my knee finally gave in. I knackered it fully. So it was nice to do other things. But yeah, I'm back watching now. My eldest, sorry.
Who knows? Maybe one of them may emulate you.
We never know. Yes, he was sent. He's now put a bit of weight on due to lockdown. He's now playing prop, so so we'll see.
It's only a quick prop
Yes,
then.
yes. So his name's Tio. So we'll see. He's coming on. I try not to give him too much advice. Not that he listens, but yeah, his coaches are doing well at Skella. It's a good outfit.
You mentioned earlier, Zook, you know, how in the lead up to Derby week, fans from both sets of the river would talk to you. It's still nice now, isn't it, that people come up to you and say, "Hi, Zook, how do you think Rovers are doing?" And you must enjoy that still.
Yeah, it is nice, because I've often said, even when I was younger, I said, these people are the people who are paying my wages at the time. So yeah, it's part of my job as an ambassador for the club to speak to them, be friendly. Plus, I live in Hull, and I'm friendly anyway. So I was pretty harmful off the pitch. I wasn't really violent on the pitch, to be fair. I didn't need to be an enforcer like Watkins and all them. I just hopefully got on with my job. But there was other people for that job.
I have to ask you, Zook, you've mentioned Clive being your hero, and you know, back when you was coming through, black players were at clubs, but not. So maybe 1 or 2 at each club, maybe.
Yeah, I can't remember. Obviously, you got the famous Ellie Hanley, wasn't there?
Roy Powell.
Yeah, Roy Powell, bless him, he's gone now. Yeah.
A little bit earlier.
Well, yeah, he beat the two. He was going to be the first black player to play for Wilkinson Rovers, Colin Dixon. But yeah, he was a nice lad, wasn't he, Colin Dixon?
Yeah, absolutely.
What's your thoughts on political kind of things coming into sport now with Black Lives Matter and that kind of thing?
I can see that there is a. When I was a kid, I didn't see it stopping me doing anything. Yeah, I mean, I didn't see it. I mean, in my day, when I was younger, I was born in Beverley, so I've lived here all my life. There weren't a lot of black people in Hull. There's more now, but no, I didn't get a lot of racism at all. Maybe at school with other kids and stuff like that, but not. And I always say I was probably fortunate in the fact that once you became a recognised Wilkinson Rovers player. Even when you were playing Colts in them days, everybody in Hull knew you, didn't they? Every young kid knew who played for Hull, who played for Rovers Colts. And you gained a lot of respect, so you didn't have this racism, so I probably avoided it that way. But there obviously is a place for it. People don't like it and people are upset by it. I was fortunate not to have a lot of it. Yeah, you'd go to Boulevard and get called this, that and the other, but God, you expect that. That's how the game goes. I'm not going to get upset by that. It just fires you up. Do you know what I mean? I can see footballers complain to the referee, God, it's part of the game, let's just get on with it. Yeah. Play the game. It's only like calling somebody a fatty or this, that and the other and you're having a lot off. Do you know what I mean? That's how I see it on the pitch. Afterwards, the bloke who's, like, you know, probably the nicest person in the world, they've just got they've just lost control for 5 minutes.
I mean, Mike, I'm not going to say it just because he plays for Hull, but the Cervello incident with Tony Clubb, you know, it looked to me, reading, it looks as though it was a little bit tit for tat, and I'm sure much worse was said back in the old day.
Yeah. Yeah, it was
Can't
terrible.
repeat it, can we,
It
mate?
was when you look back, you know, like our threatening stand when we went to the Boulevard. Absolutely. I mean, when Clive was playing, I remember him throwing bananas at Clive. You know, and it was upsetting. But
Well, I heard the story that they threw one at Dave Barron's, didn't they?
yeah,
The Bradford winger, he ate it,
he ate
threw a
it,
skin
yeah.
back.
Yeah. But you know, Clive came and there's me and Steve Hartley, and Steve was quick as anything. Steve said, "Oh, don't worry about it, Clive." He says, "You want to be glad they're not coconuts." This is on the field. This was on the field as we're. And this Clive real upset, and then Clive bust out laughing. So we just made a joke of it, you know. But I can see the racism.
Yeah, times have
aspects
changed,
of it.
haven't they?
I mean, look at Till Death Do Us Part. You look at Love Thy Neighbour. You look at all them programmes, and you cringe. You absolutely cringe because, you know, it is hurtful. I think it's hurtful and upsetting.
I mean, a lot of it's online now, isn't it? I mean, that's what gets my goat about this online. And parents are upset about the children reading this. And for goodness sake, just take the phone off, take yourself off the listing. Just don't look at it. You won't buy a book with it in. So why you got a phone and you're reading it all day long? Just get rid of then you can't get upset by it.
Yeah, I think, you know, I can speak for every Ilkings. The only colours we're interested in is red and white, isn't it? You know, we're not. I mean, look at some of the players like Zook, Clive, Stanley Jean's a massive favourite, isn't he? It's getting a little bit daft, and I do worry about it sometimes with players calling players out and not on the online things.
People. You know, when I look at Zook, I don't see a black man.
Teammate.
He's a teammate, yeah.
That's right, yeah. Yeah.
So, final question then, Zook. How do you see things panning out for Rovers this season? They've made a decent start, haven't they? Couple of good wins so far and a couple of not so good performances. Maybe 8th, 9th would be a good season for them this year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what is the score of the league this year. Is there relegation or isn't there relegation? There is relegation this year. Well, yeah, of course we need to avoid that. So I'm looking at the team. I don't think they will be obviously relegated this year. Disappointing in the last game against was it Wakefield? Wakefield. But the Cass game, I mean, to beat a Cass side, it takes some doing, I thought, because they're always a good side to play against. So yeah, I'm hopeful they'll do well this year and they will stay up.
Zook, it's been a pleasure speaking to you. You're always welcome here at Craven Park. And Mike, final comment to you on your former teammate there.
No, it was just a pleasure to play with him. And,
Thank you, Mike. It's a pleasure playing with you as well.
No, you know, to have you back, as it were. You know, he was a tremendous player for the club, and it was a great example for the young kids coming through the academies and everything. You know, what can be achieved.
That's why I don't coach now, you see, because I'd be too hard. I said to my lad, I don't say anything because I'd be too hard. Because I'm a strict. You'll do this, you'll do that. You work hard. And I think sometimes a bit too much for these youngsters. They're all mollycoddled nowadays, aren't they? So yeah, I think it'd be too much.
Gents, it's been a pleasure.
Cheers, Rob.
Thank you, Rob.
This has been Rovers Remembered, and we'll see you next time.